am Vince.
And today we're appearing at Pop Culture Comics in Overland Park, Kansas on 87th Street.
Yeah.
Which is my absolute favorite store.
It's where he gets his pull list.
Yes, indeed. And today we're going to be talking about superhero origins and when they are not outdated.
Indeed.
So Vince.
Yeah.
Can you think of a superhero who you think their origin at this point is outdated to the point that it has to be changed to work in present day?
I'm thinking the Astonishing Wolfman, because he was created like back in the 1800s. Is that what it was? I'm kidding.
Really? That's your answer? I don't think that counts as a superhero.
No. But, and it's not even old. But, you know, it's hard to say, you know, under what circumstances is a character's origin, you know, not to date enough? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, you think of the main ones, the big obvious ones, like Batman, say. Okay, well, his parents were murdered in front of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that works in any era, you know what I mean? That's gonna be bad for anyone at any time. The only thing about that origin that you have to change every now and again is what his parents were doing before they got killed.
Yeah. Because
it can't be Zora every time.
Hmm.
And so, you know, Nolan made it an opera, and rich people go to operas, so so that works. And so it's minor things there, but just as far as like the main basic origin, and I think that's about the case with pretty much everybody. You know what I mean? You know, Superman's big origin is his planet blows up. Okay, that works for any time period. And I'd say even Captain America. You know, he certainly has a timestamp on his origin, but it's World War II, and he has to get, you know, unfrozen to work, you know, now. Well, that could work 400 years from now. He's just stuck in ice for 400 years.
Yeah. As ridiculous as him being stuck in ice is.
Well, yeah, okay, fine. So, you know, you could say that it's outdated in the sense that it's silly.
You know,
but,
I suppose it depends. Is it believable for a modern audience? I mean,
sure, yeah.
And personally,
and frankly, I don't ever like my comics to be, you know, too believable.
I do.
Really?
I like them
because I like comics for escapist fiction, so I can deal with the silly stuff in places depending on how it's presented.
I like both. I mean, if you have something that's you know, crazy and out there, okay, I'll accept it. But sometimes I want a little bit of realism to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I started reading some of the Ultimate stuff, is because Ultimates and Ultimate X-Men I thought were extremely real until Loeb and Bendis got involved in X-Men.
Okay.
So, well, Loeb didn't get involved in X-Men. I don't recall if he did or not. But moving on.
Well, if you think about the very concept of origins, the reason we need them, I mean, they're kind of an excuse to get the ball rolling in the first place.
Yeah.
So just how realistic do they need to be? How believable do they have to be? Once that's out of the way, we start telling stories, you know what I mean? So I would even go as far as to say that it wouldn't be too bad to have characters where you don't know for a really long time what their origins even are. Because the origin is the status quo, and the occasion for story is what breaks that status quo, and, you know, the status quo is not the important part.
Yeah. You know, some of the best stuff out there, Jeff Loeb wrote one of the best Batman stories ever, and we didn't have to go through Batman's origin to accept that Batman was involved.
You're talking about Long Halloween?
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I mean, a lot of times, you know, an origin can simply be, you know, a sentence, you know, or a paragraph, you know what I mean? Like the A-Team. You know, that's the A-Team's origin. You didn't necessarily have to see it, you know, in a, and that's the reason I didn't care for the film as much as my wife did, being an A-Team fan, was because I was like, it's an origin story, you know what I mean? I want to know, you know, I want stories that happen after they, you know, break out of prison and all that stuff happens.
You know, I thought the A-Team's origin was basically ba-ba-bum-ba-na-na, and then something explodes.
Right, exactly. So, I don't know,
you know, something that I find interesting, when I first read that comment on our page, I thought, out of date, you know, a lot of the ideas behind all those Marvel things that came out in the 60s, the idea that drives those is radioactive materials come in contact with a character and suddenly they have their powers.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's out of date a little bit, because
because radioactive materials were such a big deal.
Yeah.
In the 40s and everything.
And also, you know, they gave you one issue and say, okay, there's your complete story. This is how he gets his powers. But when you're watching a TV show or a movie or something, it's a little more difficult, because how are you going to tell a complete story unless the entire movie's an origin story, or you tie the origin into the movie itself?
Yeah, I don't know. I would go as far as to say that that at this point people, and this is more for movies than it is for comics, but I would say that people are nearly getting so sick of origins in superhero movies that maybe just the idea of an origin story being the entire story is kind of outdated, right? I mean, like, because a lot of times you'll get a movie where you'll get a superhero film where you spend 20 minutes on the origin, and then you go into a story that has zilch to do with what happened in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah. Which is why Ultimate Spider-Man was so cool, because he got his stuff from, Oscorp. Almost said Wayne Corp. Not the same thing.
No, in fact, it's Wayne Enterprises.
And I don't even think it exists.
LexCorp.
LexCorp.
But I mean,
he got it from them.
But I mean, that happened with the first Spider-Man film.
Indeed, but I think it's been a while because, hey, they're past 100 issues now, so it's been a while since I've read it. But I think it had more to do with, I think his origin had more to do with the company than it did in the movie. Or in the comic books than it did in the movie. I'm getting confused. I'm talking myself into a corner. Oh my God, we're there.
But then, I mean, Batman Begins was terribly successful, and it did integrate the origin into what the rest of the movie was about.
Well, so did 89.
Yeah, yeah. Although it integrated it in such a way where it still meshed enough with comics that comic book fans weren't annoyed by it. But yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. People these days complain about origin films because they want to get the ball rolling, and I'm there too. But then 89 I think tried really hard to not make it an origin film, or to make the origin part of it fit in with what the rest of the movie was. And I kind of course, everybody knows I'm actually a big fan of that movie, even though a lot of people don't like it. But I think that I kind of commend Tim Burton and the people, which is a sentence I don't say very often. But I kind of commend
Tim Burton approve? Surely not.
But I kind of commend him and his team for at least making the attempt to integrate in the origin with the rest of the movie, even if they weren't entirely successful at it.
I think pretty much the way an origin should work is if you're watching a movie and you're sitting there thinking, "Wow, this is an origin story," then they haven't done their job.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I feel like Iron Man was most successful about that than a lot of these, where it really is an origin film. But at no point did I find myself going, "Oh, we got to get the backstory again."
The interesting thing is that it followed the exact same scenario that Spider-Man did, because we have the first part of the film, which is them getting set up to be Spider-Man, Iron Man, and then we have the body, and then we have the end. We have these clearly defined 3 acts.
It feels more connected in Iron Man.
And
for
in
whatever
Iron
reason.
Man, you see, I think it's
because the suit is the through line. I mean, the building of the technology is the through line. Not so with Spider-Man. In fact, I still don't understand how he got the money to build that suit. We know that he had a total of $100 to his name. So anyway.
He bought it on eBay.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. That's impressive too, that he designed it in his little notebook and then found it on eBay.
Wow, what do you know? Great minds think alike. Click, purchase, 99 cents, can't beat that.
Wow.
Free shipping, hooah. But Iron Man.
Yeah. So, so what was your point about the 3 different stories? Because I agree with you, but
with Iron Man, I think it was they had, not only did they have the suit integrated from beginning to end, they had the motivations through this guy's company. With Spider-Man, it was just, my uncle died, now I have to go avenge crime.
Yeah, because Tony Stark has a real character arc. It's, I'm building weapons and that makes me a lot of money, so I don't think about the consequences, to, oh, look, the consequences, to, I have to do something about that.
Mm-hmm. And with Spider-Man
doesn't
remains
have that.
static.
Yeah, it's well, because because his origin again really is an excuse to get the ball rolling. So it's okay, my uncle died, now I have to be responsible, and responsibility means conveniently there's a villain and I must fight him. And those things just don't mesh enough. So I don't know. I think that movie could have been done just fine without the origin. Having said all that, I really liked the guy who played Uncle Ben.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, even in Batman Begins, the guy has a character arc. So
yeah,
essentially, it boils down to good writing.
Yeah, like everything, right?
Yeah.
So origins work fine as long as they're integrated well. As long as you don't find yourself going, oh, an origin story.
Do you update it for the sake of updating it? No, that's ridiculous.
I don't know.
Might as well just
I don't
keep
think
it
so
the way it
either.
was.
I mean, I do once again think that if you're going to put something in present day, it does have to be updated to a certain point.
Yeah.
I think it would, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, but if we ever see Robin done on film again, let's say, I think it will be hard to make him a circus character. Because,
Circus?
well, he's from the circus.
I mean, Why?
I mean, Dick Grayson is because circuses aren't especially popular, right? And they're still around, but like,
That's true.
is the circus life really the big deal that it was when Dick Grayson was first written?
I mean,
You know what I mean?
I suppose there's other things they could do. Maybe he's just an acrobat or something. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
Or a gymnast rather.
Yeah,
than
I mean, they
acrobat.
could do something really related. You're really, really close. But just I don't know the idea. People in circus life. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't. And that's why I was really glad that they didn't end up doing the Graces on the CW. Because like, could you imagine them trying to finagle the circus life show in 2009? Like,
Maybe they succeed. I don't know. If it was good, I'd watch it.
really? You said it might succeed. This is coming from someone who can't stand Smallville.
Hey, I'm not saying that they would have done it well. I'm saying that if it was good, they could have. I think that people might watch it if it was good.
They weren't going to call him Richard or Dick. They were going to call him DG.
Sorry, I know that was an ugly face.
Well, hey, what do you think about this?
DG Chichester?
Are there origins you can think of that have to be updated? Are there things you think are outdated? Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. And also, if there's something you'd like us to do in a video later on, leave that in the comments as well. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
And we'll see you next time on Geeks Modernizing.
It's like Rock'em Sock'em Robot.
I was thinking exactly the same thing, only with fingers.